Hey everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast, and we've got some cool Dungeon Bowl updates for you today. So on the Warhammer community, an article dropped this afternoon detailing which teams can go in all 8 of the colleges of magic. So we're looking at full-on mixed teams here, and there's a bunch of different combinations. So we're going to take a few minutes and have a look and kind of start theory crafting which ones of these are going to be the best. So on the Warhammer community, we've got this article here. Dungeon Bowl lets you choose a college of magic and build a team unlike any other. So what they've done is they've put this article together, and in it, like you see here with the College of Fire, they've got these cool little cards put together for each of the colleges of magic. There's no name for the team, just College of Fire team at the moment. So in the old Dungeon Bowl, every college had its own one team, and that one team had a specific name, like the Blood Axes and stuff like that. We don't have that right now, so I wonder if we'll see some, like they do at the moment with the Spike magazine, some teams, not teams of legend, but like teams of infamy, like some famous teams. Now, they've put together what can only be described as a top trumps card for the colleges. So we've got the first one here is the College of Fire: Speed 2, Power 4, Skill 2, Aggression 3, Resilience 4. So we are pretty sure that that means nothing at all. It's just a cool way to kind of explain how the team plays. Now, if you look at some of the teams that are eligible to be taken in the College of Fire: Dwarves, Ogres, Khorne, Chaos Chosen. Speed 2 makes sense. All of these teams are very slow. The fastest player on any of these teams is a Speed 6, I think, yeah, with the Dwarf Runner and the Beastman on the Khorne and the Chaos Chosen team. Power 4, it's a very strong bunch of teams. Skill 2, quite low agility across there. Aggression 3, maybe I would see a bit of a higher aggression. And Resilience 4, actually, given the amount of Strength 4, Strength 5, Armor 10 plus on that team, makes a lot of sense. So here we go. Dungeon Bowl is coming soon, taking the ultra-violent sport of Blood Bowl underground. It brings new combined rosters drawn from many different teams. If you love Nuffle's sacred game, then Dungeon Bowl is an excellent way to mix things up and challenge yourself in a completely different environment, and to create the team of your dreams by drawing on your best players from many different factions. So we don't have the full build rules yet. We don't know if it's going to be pick 2 teams and pull positionals from that, whether it's 1 positional max of each type from any of these teams. But these colleges, some have got 5 teams to pull for. So we are seeing a pretty cool mix of things here. And there's going to be loads of different varieties, which, I don't know, I think is actually pretty awesome. I mean, you guys know we love mixed teams on this channel. Anyway, moving on with the article, these combined teams, and indeed the notion of Dungeon Bowl itself, stems from an agreement made between the 8 colleges of magic in Altdorf. Instead of engaging in magical duels that were not only dangerous for the wizards themselves, but also much of the city, it was decided that disputes would be resolved by games of Dungeon Bowl between teams of hand-picked players. The action would be safely contained underground, with access only granted through sorceress translocation by arcane portals. So if you guys watched the history of Dungeon Bowl video we put together, you'll know that that's exactly right. If you haven't caught up with it, please go back and listen to that, do some painting, and I talked to you about how Dungeon Bowl came around. Each of the colleges of magic embody a different magical wind and prefer a different set of players and styles. We've made a set of fun cards so that you can see the strengths and weaknesses of the mixed rosters available to each of the colleges at the glance. So, the College of Fire, this is our first one we're going to look at. Renowned for the fiery temperament of its wizards, the Bright College traditionally chooses teams composed of tough, headstrong players who are more at home pounding the opposition into the floor than handling the ball. The mainstays of their teams are dwarves and ogres whose sturdy physicality makes them ideal candidates for such a playstyle. So the College of Fire is one of the 2 teams that come in the box. And that team comes with ogres and dwarves. But this roster here, as we've already said, can also take Khorne and Chaos Chosen. So that brings us to the first kind of start of where we can theory up what one of these teams would look like. So in classic Dungeon Bowl rules, it was, I believe, 11 players, 7 start on the pitch, and then you teleport 1 in per turn. So on a roster like this, you could use the Snotlings to keep the team value low. There's 2 ogres on the starter set, so I wonder if it might be, like I said, 1 of each positional, but unlimited linemen. That would kind of work. But the ability to chuck in a Bloodseeker, or unlimited beastmen on this team. Ultimately, beastmen and ogres would be a very powerful combination. If you can only take one of each positional, then having just one bloodseeker is a bit of a pain, because those are awesome and would be brilliant in the corridors in this one. But actually, you know what, being able to take one bloodseeker is a really good pickup for this team. So if it is a bit of a pick and choose situation, and the article leads us to believe that it is, dwarves and ogres backed up with essentially a couple of strength 4 dudes, one chaos chosen player and one bloodseeker would be a really cool combination. The ability to take a minotaur here is not lost on me, guys. That would be very cool. A minotaur with my dwarf team, oh, that would just be a wicked combination. Anyway, next up we've got the College of Shadow, the other team from the box. Cunning, Speed and Mercurial Skill are bywords for Dungeon Bowl teams sponsored by the Grey College. Slippery players such as Dark Elves, Skaven and Goblins are the natural choices. They may not be renowned for their out-and-out aggression, but to underestimate them is to be laid low by an unexpected and probably poisoned dagger in the dark. So College of Shadow, Speed 5, makes sense. Power 2, Skill 4, Aggression 2, Resilience 2. Dark Elves, Skaven and Goblins. So Goblins is a really cool way to add this team. I mean, what am I thinking? What would be really useful for this team? Just having some stunty players is actually pretty cool. They're not the lowest cost, but hey, if you can take one of each positional, then the ability to chuck a chainsaw in a Dungeon Bowl game is very, very, very powerful. Oh, and the Fanatic. How's the Fanatic going to work in Dungeon Bowl? That is an interesting question. Anyway, Dark Elves, Skavens, and Goblin. Dark Elves and Skaven are a great combination, so Goblins just absolutely icing on top. At the College of Metal, teams associated with the Gold College are on the side of violence, but they do so through an overwhelming use of dedicated blockers like Black Orcs and Bloodseekers rather than big guys, while relying on human and orc blitzers to act as playmakers. This gives them a well-rounded and flexible playstyle, equally at home when crumping the opposition as they are racing around the dungeon. So College of Metal, Speed 3, Power 3, Skill 3, Aggression 3, Resilience 3, Orcs, Black Orcs, Khorne and Humans. So where it says here, but they do so through an overwhelming use of dedicated blockers like Black Orcs and Bloodseekers, so that does make me think that you are going to be able to take multiple positionals. Now, not just one of each, but this roster is unnecessarily tasty. Black Orcs and Khorne, that's 4 Bloodseekers, 6 Black Orcs. That is an unstoppable piece of strength going through this. You've got 2 Orc rosters, so that's 2 Trolls you can run. You've got the Ogre for the human team. You've got this could be an absolutely massive roster. You've got the potential of those Blitzers from the Orcs and Humans mixed in with the strength and ferocity of Black Orcs and Khorne. This is looking very tasty, and we're also getting a first look at the colour schemes here. So the College of Fire is red and orange, College of Shadow is purple and black, College of Metal is essentially white and gold. So next up is the College of Light, able to maneuver the ball around the dungeon at blinding speed. The Light College teams combine the grace and skill of Elven Union players with the fastest and most reliable humans. They specialise in swift, often bloodless victories, sometimes scoring before the opponents are even aware the ball has been found. So College of Light, Speed 4, Power 3, Skill 5, Aggression 1, Resilience 2, Elven Union, Humans and Imperial Nobility. So this roster is going to be focused on the agility of the elves. Humans and Imperial Nobility kind of give a bit of chaff element to it to kind of screen, don't they? You can use the cheap Fend linemen. I mean, standard human linemen are pretty decent. Human blitzers and Imperial Nobility blitzers are pretty great together. I can't see anybody taking a Nobility thrower on purpose when you can take the Elven Union one, let alone the human one. I think this is going to be a case of 2 Elven blitzers, Elven thrower, a couple of catchers maybe for the maximise that speed. Human catchers at that bargain price, we're going to be really useful in the dungeons because they're going to be able to run forward and try and find the ball. So watch out for that. White and blue is the colour combination for those guys. So the College of Death. Necromancy may be forbidden for the Wizards of the Amethyst College, but that doesn't mean they don't appreciate the art. The College of Death recruits teams formed of undead Blood Bowl players, relying on the physical power of flesh golems and mummies to smash through their opposition and grind out a victory that's as inevitable as the passage of time. So College of Death, Speed 2, Power 4, Skill 2, Aggression 4, Resilience 3. So these guys can only take Necro and Undead. So what we've noticed already is that we're not seeing any of the teams of legend here. So There's no vampires, there's no tomb kings, we haven't seen Norse anywhere, so no teams of legend. The only teams that are featured are the ones from the book and the expanded teams, just the expanded team from Spike 13 in Khorne. Well, they've put Khorne absolutely everywhere. So undead, purple and black. That's a pretty cool scheme. The ability to take a couple of mummies and a couple of werewolves as well. This is just going to be like a super powered undead combination team, and I think that's excellent. That's going to play out really well, especially in the close quarters of a dungeon where movement 3 is really fine. The College of Life. Teams sponsored by the Jade College enjoy one of the largest rosters, combining the speed and agility of the Wood Elves, the plucky heroism of the Halflings, the unpredictable specialism of the Snotlings, and the resilience of Treeman and Nurgle players. It's quite the smorgasbord, although it could be something to do with the attendant Halfling Master Chefs. So really interesting combination here. The College of Life. Wood Elves, Halflings, Snotlings, and Nurgle. Speed 4, Power 3, Skill 3, Aggression 2, and Resilience 3. Alright. Wood Elves are a great roster. And now you've got the ability to pad them out with the swarming element of Snotlings. We're not sure how swarming is going to land in dungeons. Probably isn't at all, so watch out for that. But 15k for your linemen. That's going to open up the ability to maximise on the positionals. And I think in a dungeon environment, you want your War Dancers, but you also want a couple of those Movement 8 catchers because they are so fast and agile. Snotlings, couple of trolls maybe, potentially a pump wagon could be fun, but secret weapon means nothing in this environment potentially. Nurgle, however, is a really interesting one, but I know from experience that using a Nurgle, a beast of Nurgle in a dungeon, it can really gum down at any corridor ever. So the ability to take maybe a couple of Pestigores or those big bloaters as your strength 4 kind of medium speed in this roster, pretty good. Trees in a dungeon, questionable, but that would definitely shut down a couple of corridors, wouldn't it? Right, this roster is packed. So the College of Beasts. The Amber College specialises in beasts of every description, so it's no surprise that their teams include, well, beasts of every description. From monstrous big guys to werewolves, beastmen and more, these bestial players rip, rend and tear, concerning only themselves with the ball once the opponents have been reduced to scraps. So College of Beasts, Speed 2, Power 5, Skill 1, Aggression 4, Resilience 3. Chaos Chosen, so Strength 4 dudes, Strength 3 guys with horns, and the ability to take a Minotaur Troll or an Ogre, so Minotaur. Skaven with the Rat Ogre and some great agility positionals. Lizardman there with some Sauruses and the Croxigor. Khorne with those Strength 4 Bloodseekers. Necro Horror with some Werewolves and some Ghouls for some cheap dodge ability. Plus, you've got the ability to take a few zombies, to take a couple of cheap linemen to keep the rest of your positionals available. This team could be absolutely stacked. I'm thinking a couple of zombies, but also you can maximise the big guys, a Minotaur, a Rat Ogre, a Croxigor, a Blood Beast if you wanted one, a couple of Flesh Golems in there. It can be absolutely strong. And you've got the thrower for the Skaven team, but also the gutter runners, and gutter runners are going to be pretty awesome in this. Movement 9 is great, Edge 2 Plus is very great. They come with dodge, so they're a little bit resilient as well. Very powerful. College of Life has 2 colours, so they're looking at jade and kind of a browny gold, I guess is the best way to describe that. My iPhone is telling me to breathe. Thank you very much. And the College of Beasts has got this, I don't know, like an ochre with a bit of red and blue as well. So that's going to be an interesting one. I think potentially that ochre with the blue stripes would be a really cool paint scheme. Right, next up, College of Heavens. So College of Heavens, with a core of lizardmen and human players at their disposal, the Celestial College teams are among the swiftest of all, able to capitalise on even the smallest of mistakes by their opponent to slip a skink runner through the gaps. Meanwhile, their Saurus blockers are exceptional in the role of patrolling the narrow dungeon corridors at speed while hunting for the ball. So, that just describes how Lizardman team play, really, doesn't it? So this one, Lizards, Humans, and Imperial Nobility. Speed 5, Power 3, Skill 3, Aggression 2, and Resilience 2. So gold and blue and white for this team. Alright, in this roster, what are your advantages? Lizardman team, got the Sauruses, a couple of Skinks as cheeky, cheap, fast players. The Nobility for the chaff lineman. And let's face it, Wrestle's going to be good in a dungeon environment as well. Those blitzers are great, human blitzers are great. I mean, these rosters have got so much availability for really great players that the power level is going to be pretty big. So whichever team you pick, that's quite the choice of players. Dungeon Bowl is up for pre-order soon, so get ready to take the action underground. The question is, which College of Magic has taken your fancy? Okay, right. So we've seen the rosters. We've seen these cool little put together cards, which are, I guess, completely unnecessary, but I do love them. So what do we know? So what do we actually know right now? So the way the article talks, it sounds like you're going to be able to take multiples of the players from this roster. So I'm sort of leaning towards the possibility of them saying that, for example, the College of Metal, you are going to get X gold to take X players. So I'm assuming 1,000,000 gold to take 11 plus players, because that's how it's always been. And you get to pick those players from Orcs, Black Orcs, Khorne, and Human. And that is going to lead to some excellent build choices. I mean, Orcs, Black Orcs, Khorne, and Human. Like, you've got to take all 6 of those Black Orcs. You've got I mean, Black Orc Goblins are excellent choices here for your linemen. A couple of those as your ball carrier is great, but I mean, you can fork out and take the Human Thrower to get that sure hands, but is it worth it? Because it's 1 Human Thrower or 2 Bruiser Goblins. And that can free up the rest of your cash to buy more Black Orcs, to get those Bloodseekers from the Khorne team. We are going to see some excellent rosters here. And with the dynamic being that you are fighting in tunnels, those slower, higher strength players are going to be brutal. And the College of Metal here, Orcs, Black Orcs, Khorne, with humans to be a tier 1 ball handling team, is looking really tasty. And I am absolutely loving the paint schemes as well. I cannot wait to get started on these teams, and I think I might have to get ahead of it here, because each of these colleges look really cool and are going to play out so unique. Anyway, guys, that is the Dungeon Bowl update for now. It sounds like we're going to get it in the next few weeks, and it sounds like we are going to get it before Christmas, which is huge, and that means that we are going to have to do a lot of painting, a lot of building of dungeon tiles. That's right, we've got something very special coming, and we get to play some games. Anyway, I'm going to disappear now. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know how buzzed you are for Dungeon Bowl. I know the cost has got some of you worried, and it might just be a £95 book, but this game is going to be nonsense, and I am all about the Blood Bowl nonsense. One thing more to mention is that there are a couple of teams missing from this amalgamation of teams, and they are the teams that are already mixed rosters. So OWA are missing, Underworld are missing, and Chaos Renegades are missing. So of these teams, there are 22 teams made by Games Workshop at the moment, plus the Teams of Legend, and there's only 19 teams listed on the page. So Underworld, OWA, and Chaos Renegades are not going to feature, but if you've got those positionals, they already kind of fit in to a bunch of different teams, don't they? So that's kind of important to look at. So OWA, you've got, I guess, the College of Fire, where you've got the Dwarves bit. I mean, College of Shadow is Skaven and Goblins, so if you've got Underworld, you can run them as that. I suppose you don't really have any beast elements of it. Humans, you've got the College of Light, but you are missing half a team for AWA. And then, yeah, so it's an interesting one. So if those are your primary teams, you are going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage, but I think it's okay. It would be a bit weird to run OWA team mixed in, because then you could have a kind of dwarf with... I get it. I do get it. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy Dungeoneering. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.